advances that have been unseen since the first days of this war, but it's in a much more controlled fashion. They're not going to have a column go off, get cut off, and destroyed. They're just one bite here. They're doing along the entire front, and it's just booming it. And the Ukrainians right now, they're running out of manpower. And eventually, I think what you're going to see in the not too distant future, people are talking about it, all right, is Ukrainians will have no choice to either their troops will all collapse, get surrounded, and killed, or they're going to have to make a big move to the Dnieper River and try and use the Dnieper River as a water barrier to thin out their defenses and focus in on defending other areas. They're going to lose some cities. Kharkov, already you hear people talking about our Kharkov's, and it can't be defended. There's the Russians are on the way to totally liberating all of Donetsk, all of Zaporizhia. And eventually they're going to get the right bank of Kherson back and make a move on Odessa. This is just the reality. There's nothing the Ukrainians can do to stop them right now. They don't have any more manpower. They're rationing ammunition. And rationing ammunition, it's like somebody on a starvation diet. You've instead of getting a loaf of bread a day, now we've gone to half a loaf. We're rationing food. Quarter loaf. We're rationing food. Well, it just means we have a quarter loaf. We don't have a loaf of bread. And eventually down to one little crumb. You still have bread, which means you still have artillery rounds. But once you eat that crumb, you got nothing. And that's where the Ukrainians are right now. They've got crumbs. So like if the Russians make a mistake, Ukrainians have the ability to concentrate resources and hit them. They're still getting the intelligence support from the West. The communications is still there. So if the Russians give them a target, the Ukrainians will hit the target. And we've seen that. But generally speaking, the Ukrainians can't sustain that kind of counterstrike capability. So while they can punch the Russians here, punch the Russians there, punch the Russians here, then they've got nothing because they've run out of anything. And then the Russians just keep going. And that's where we're at right now.
And the loss of life, I mean, is massive, especially for Ukraine. I mean, the Western media, mainstream media, has always likes to hype up, despite very questionable numbers often discussed when it comes to the Russian side, when there's very pro-Western sources that we could find that show that actually Russia is losing people. And you talk about this all the time, so you say Russia is losing people. They are losing troops, they are losing forces, and it's not anything to joke about. But Ukraine, that's where it's downplayed. And so how likely is it that that scenario takes place, and how soon do you think it might take place, this scenario where either they surrender because they're completely surrounded, there's just no manpower left, or that they have to take other desperate measures to to prevent such a thing from happening?
Well, I'm sort of once bitten, twice shy kind of thing. I'm 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 trying to be more careful with calendar predictions because um,